Connecting physical MIDI hardware inside of dPro is really easy, and it's a great way to be able to control the different cues in your show control window with a physical interface. Alright, so the very first thing before we even launch dPro, if we're using a MIDI controller, the first thing that we want to do is make sure that we set it up inside of dPro. So we'll go ahead, even before we get to MIDI learn any of that stuff, we're going to launch dPro. You can see here I've got a MIDI keyboard plugged in, so I get this message when I first launch dPro, and it just tells me, hey, all the MIDI inputs are disabled. You know, there's some MIDI present, there's something plugged in, but nothing's enabled, so it's not going to work, and that's a great message to have. So we're going to go ahead to File, Preferences, then we're going to go over to Audio/MIDI, and we're going to set up down here at the bottom the MIDI inputs, okay? So for active MIDI inputs, I'm just going to select the ones that I want. So in this case, it's the launch key MIDI. I'm going to set that for input and output so that there's two-way communication. And then the last setting that we need to do is go back to General, and down here under Show Control, there's Buttons Latch via MIDI. Okay, so I'm under Show Control window. I scrolled down to Buttons Latch via MIDI, and I want to enable that. Now what this is going to do is it takes any old MIDI key on a typical keyboard or other controller that would simply send when you press the key, and it makes it latch. So it's going to hold on that lighting preset, which is generally what you're going to want to do. Now, if you want all your presets on all of your MIDI controllers to just only play the lighting cue when you're physically holding down the key, don't enable this setting. But for most people, you're going to want to enable this. And if you have your show control window open, please close it and restart the show control to make this take effect. Now let's go ahead and pull up the gear icon in the show control window. And then I'm going to click on whatever cue or cue list on a fader or button that I want to modify. Let's go and do a button first. To do my MIDI mapping today, I've got an Akai APC40 that I hooked up via USB before I started dPro. Now, you can use any MIDI controller you want or an ENTTEC wing. Let's go ahead and press Start Trigger. Gonna go over here, I can set a trigger on my keyboard, so I can set it to a letter. I can set it to MIDI, which is what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna press Click to Learn, and then I just press the button on my MIDI controller that I wanted to use. Now it took the MIDI code, popped it in there, and I can press OK. When I hide the box here, I can now see that when I press my button on my controller, the cue executes. Now, it's important to know that you're going to need to set your MIDI controller to latching, if possible, so that the cue stays active even when you let go. Let me show you how to program a fader here in the show control window. I'm going to go, just click on this cog here, click on Color Effects Test, Start Trigger, go over to MIDI, press to Learn, and then I just move my fader on my Akai APC40 or whatever surface you may have in front of you. Press OK, press the cog to hide it, and now I have fader control via my MIDI interface, so I can bring the intensity of this effect up and down by using a physical fader. You can see it's nice and smooth and works just as you'd anticipate. With this MIDI control programmed here onto our stage, we're now able to have a great show. I hope you really enjoyed these basics of dPro videos that are here available on YouTube. Be sure to check out the full post on dPro over at LearnStageLighting.com and sign up for our dPro mailing list, where I'm going to be sending you guys some more information about dPro and how to make the most out of it to help you create amazing lighting. I'll see you guys on the dPro post and via email.